nuclear weapons program. So this might not impact Iran as much as it would impact some of the other countries, India being one of them, Turkey, China, of course, which is the largest importer of Iranian oil, some Middle Eastern countries, which also import from Iran. So some of these countries could be affected. As far as India is concerned, this would be particularly pinching because remember, India is already facing the brunt of 50% tariffs, 25% for importing Russian oil, and now this additional 25%, if it's imposed, then that would take it up to 75%. But then, having said that, India does not import as much Iranian oil. In fact, it's very negligible, the amount of Iranian oil that India imports, particularly in the last few years after the American and European sanctions. But India has deep stakes in Iran. Remember, the Chabahar port is an India-backed port. There's also the North-South Transit Corridor project that India has been working on because Pakistan does not give it overland rights. As a result, for India to reach to the Central Asian republics like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, etc., India has to use the Iranian route, and that was part of the International North-South Transit Corridor project, which has been pending for a number of years now. So India has a lot of stake in what is going on in Iran, including, of course, these latest protests. India is watching very closely. The MEA put out a statement a couple of days ago saying that they're watching very carefully the developments in Iran. But once again, I think Trump, instead of choosing the military option, at least up until now, until this hour, instead of choosing the military option, he has decided to go with the economic option. One possible reason also being the fear that if he were to indulge in airstrikes like we saw back in June, when three of the major nuclear sites of Iran were hit, this could potentially this time around galvanize the regime, the Ayatollah regime. The people could sort of galvanize around that regime because an external actor like the United States has attacked it. So that's one of the factors that's stopping him from undertaking a military or authorizing a military strike against Iran as of now.
All right, Zaka, thank you so much for joining us with your insights on this. We'll, of course, continue to track these developments closely on that front as well. For now, let's shift our focus also. Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnaw, is all set to attend the G7 Critical Minerals Ministerial meeting today in Washington, D.C. India's presence at the U.S. organized meet signals Washington's push to diversify global supply chains and reduce dependence on China's dominance in critical minerals refining. India is also expected to join the U.S.-led Pax Silica initiative, ahead of an upcoming AI summit highlighting expanding cooperation in critical and emerging technologies. Now, this comes after the new U.S. envoy to India signals renewed momentum in India-U.S. engagement. U.S. Ambassador Sergio Gore said both sides continue to actively engage on trade issues, adding that the next call on trade talks is expected soon. In his first statement, Gore highlighted the strong rapport between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, saying that real friends can resolve differences. He also stressed that no partner is more important to the United States than India.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent, he organized a ministerial meeting focused on resilience in the supply chain of critical minerals. It's very important for all the countries, including India, to have a resilient supply chain of critical minerals. So in this meeting, participants from various countries, they discussed their experience, the steps that they are taking in making the supply chain resilient. There were discussions around funding new projects. There were discussions around technology sharing between different countries. There were very important discussions about recycling. So it was a very positive meeting in which the thought process was to improve the quality and availability of critical minerals.
All right, for more on this, we have Siddhant Mishra live with us. Siddhant, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, when we talk about Pax Silica and also the sort of headway that we appear to have been given by what the US envoy said yesterday about real friends being able to resolve all differences, how do you see the trajectory of the evolution of this relationship going forward?
Well, India-US relationship is a very important relationship. In fact, the relationship definitely has been going through the rough patch. But again, there are efforts also which are being made by both the sides to bring relationship back on track. In fact, you see him from the very beginning. There were multiple derogatory remarks, below the belt remarks made by senior officials in the Trump administration, but not once Indian officials or Indian ministers, hit back at the Trump administration. Rather, they always believed in handling the relationship with grace and gracefully, and that is exactly what Indian side has done all throughout. Now, there has been multiple talks on trade, multiple rounds of talks on trade between the two countries. In fact, both countries also renewed the existing defense cooperation framework. In fact, there has also been defense purchase from the United States in these last 6 months. So, as I said, that there may be differences between the two countries when it comes to signing trade deal, or maybe India not giving credit to the United States for the mediation, or the 25% additional tariff which US has slapped on India for buying Russian crude. There are sticking points, but also the fact is that both sides know that how important this relationship is, and perhaps how important it is to continue and strengthen this relationship. And perhaps now Minister Vaishnaw is in DC. In fact, yesterday, Ambassador designate Sergio Gore announced that that India will be invited to be the part of Pax Silica. Minister Vaishnaw attended critical mineral ministerial meeting in DC to secure critical minerals supply chain for Viksit Bharat. Perhaps that is what he said in his post. So definitely, may not be India may not be the founding member of Pax Silica, but India is becoming the member of Pax Silica. Perhaps the global high table, which has been founded by United States and ally countries to secure the supply chain of critical minerals. And in fact, during President Biden's tenure also, India has been the part of such initiatives of the US government. So nothing new, but this time the entry is happening late because of the rough patch in the relationship.
Right. Of course. Let's just also listen into exactly what Sergio Gore said and the reactions that have been coming in. Listen to this first.
I've traveled all over the world with President Trump, and I can attest that his friendship with Prime Minister Modi is real. The United States and India are bound not just by shared interest, but by a relationship anchored at the highest levels. Real friends can disagree, but always resolve their differences in the end. Last week, our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, powerfully stated that this year will be a year of reciprocity. We are raising the standard for diplomacy itself. That means fair trade, mutual respect, and shared security. Both sides continue to actively engage. In fact, the next call on trade will occur tomorrow. Remember, India is the world's largest nation, so it's not an easy task to get this across the finish line, but we are determined to get there. And while trade is very important for our relationship, we will continue to work closely together on other very important areas, such as security, counterterrorism, energy, technology, education, and health. I also want to share with you today a new initiative that the United States launched just last month, called Pax Silica. Pax Silica is a US-led strategic initiative to build a secure, prosperous, and innovation-driven silicon supply chain, from critical minerals and energy inputs to advanced manufacturing, semiconductors, AI development, and logistics. Nations that joined last month include Japan, South Korea, the United Kingdom, and Israel. Today, I'm pleased to announce that India will be invited to join this group of nations as a full member next month. As the world adopts new technology, it is essential that India and the United States work hand in hand from the very start of this initiative. No partner is more essential than India.
I think it's again reflects the kind of trust that India has held in, and it's a recognition of where India needs to be and how it is seen as a reliable and trusted partner in important value chains.
And in the latest that we're getting right now, 6-member delegation from the International Liaison Department of the Communist Party of China, the IDCPC, visited the BJP headquarters in New Delhi. A BJP delegation led by Party General Secretary Arun Singh discussed at length the means to advance inter-party communications between BJP and the Communist Party of China. So this is the latest that we're getting right now. 6-member delegation from the International Liaison Department of the Communist Party of China visited the BJP headquarters. For more on this, we have Siddhant with us. Siddhant, what can you tell us of this development?
Well, that's right, Haim. In fact, 6-member delegation from the Chinese Communist Party is in New Delhi. In fact, yesterday they had a meeting with BJP's Arun Singh and, in fact, the other senior leader of Bharatiya Janata Party. In fact, Vijay Chauthaiwala, who handles foreign affairs, foreign relations for Bharatiya Janata Party, could also be seen in the pictures which has been released by the party. So it's a new opening of new communication between the largest party of India, which is Bharatiya Janata Party, and between the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, this is not happening for the first time. If you go in history, perhaps in the first tenure, when Prime Minister was Atal Bihari Vajpayee, at that point also there was an Indian delegation which visited Beijing, and in fact there was party-to-party communication established at that point as well. So not happening for the first time, but yes, the 6-member Communist Party delegation is in India, and in fact they met BJP's Arun Singh yesterday. In fact, the Chinese ambassador to India accompanied the delegation to the party office.
All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for that. Stay on with us. Of course, we're getting more information as well. Trump again claims to take over Greenland in light of all the volatility that we're seeing in the global geopolitical landscape. Denmark Prime Minister warns US President, calls it a decisive moment, says the United States has once again reiterated its desire to take over Greenland. This is something the government coalition in Greenland cannot accept under any circumstances. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. As a part of the realm, Greenland is a member of NATO, and the defense of Greenland must therefore be ensured through NATO. So this is the moment, the decisive moment that they are talking about here. Siddhant, let me come back to you after what we've seen happen in Venezuela and the volatile situation that we are seeing in Iran. It appears that on Trump's card, it's Greenland next.
Well, hey, Greenland has made its position clear time and again that they are part of the Kingdom of Denmark. They have an autonomous government, and they are not going to come under any pressure from the United States. But despite the European countries uniting against the United States position on Greenland, despite the NATO countries backing Greenland, supporting Denmark against the United States, perhaps there has been repeated calls made by the officials of from the Trump administration and President Trump himself to annex Greenland. In fact, their officials at times say that military option is on the table. At times they say that there could be some kind of an agreement, arrangement, troops can be sent, etc., etc. So all those statements are being made by the senior Trump administration officials, and perhaps this is the reason that now the Denmark PM has come up with this statement, and she has to say that Greenland protection is important, and in fact, a big statement coming from her on what Trump administration officials have been saying.
All right. Well, Siddhant, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that. So lots happening on the geopolitical front as well. We'll continue to track all developments, whether it's Greenland, Iran, or what happens on the tariffs front between India and the United States. We'll continue to bring you all the updates on that. Let's shift our focus now to another front. Another Hindu man, an auto driver, beaten to death in Bangladesh. A probe underway to nab the culprits. This is another Hindu man. We're talking about an auto driver named Sameer Das, who was beaten to death in Bangladesh in the latest attacks on minorities in the country. As per local media reports, he was 28. The brutal attack on him was reported in Chittagong on Sunday night. According to reports, the attackers thrashed and stabbed him to death. After the murder, the criminals stole the man's battery-operated auto rickshaw and fled from the scene. So here we're talking about another 28-year-old Hindu man beaten to death in Bangladesh. This as minorities in the country continue to live in fear. He was beaten to death in Bangladesh. This is the latest news of an attack on a Hindu minority that we're getting here. 28-year-old Sameer Das beaten to death in Chittagong on Sunday night. As per reports, the attackers thrashed and stabbed him to death. And after the murder, the criminals stole the man's battery-operated auto rickshaw and fled the scene. Police are saying that the Hindu man was murdered with country-made weapons and beaten to death. This is, of course, preliminary information that we have right now. We're, of course, waiting to get more information on this and truly bring you a clearer picture of what exactly transpired here. Another Hindu man, an auto driver this time, beaten to death in Bangladesh. This as minorities continue to remain in the grip of fear and violence in the country. So these are the initial reports that we've received. We are, of course, waiting to get more clarity and to be able to piece together the sequence of events here. And according to the early reports, the attackers thrashed and stabbed him to death. We're talking about an auto driver. For more on this, we have Pallavi live with us. Good morning, Pallavi. Another Hindu man beaten to death.
Well, the number just seems to be growing up. And, the biggest worry really is the fact that as elections are going to come closer, which is on 12th of February in Bangladesh, will these attacks on Hindus increase? Look, for years, the two Hindus and Muslims have been living together. But the real worry now is that with elections around the corner, is there a sense of emboldenment? And more importantly, look at the Jamaat ideology, which is believed to be very radical Islamic, that is also being blamed as one of the reasons why they would want this kind of a trouble to be stoked between the Hindus and Muslims. Because after all, it's a question of their vote bank, it's a question of their constituency. Despite the fact that if you ask Jamaat this question, they always say, we do want everyone to live together. What I've noticed as a pattern is that not only the Hindus are being targeted, but the police also just stands by. For example, in the case of Deepu Chandra Das, it took almost 15 days to find the mastermind. In the case of Khokon Das, despite the fact that everyone knew who the accused was, he was nabbed only after he died, that too after a week. In many cases, the cases are not being registered, the police stands by, there are inputs which are being given, but nothing really changes on the ground.
Absolutely, Pallavi. In fact, one could go on to then say that on ground people really, many of them at least, seem to be complicit as well, because if we were to look at the previous cases as well, some is accused of blasphemy, somebody accused of extortion, be that as it may, people here feeling rather emboldened to take law into their own hands.
And when I was there and I tried to get multiple voices, whether it's from the BNP, whether it was from the Jamaat, all of them unfortunately, dismissed it off as a case of social unrest or a case of, a professional rivalry. But the fact is that I can use the example of Deepu Chandra Das. He was promoted from just another worker in a factory to becoming the supervisor. That didn't go down well because the feeling among the Muslim workers was that how can a Hindu become a supervisor? So just to say it was only about professional rivalry is not correct. Clearly, the religion angle also came in. And when the police takes its own time to take action, when it becomes so easy for you to target someone because you're a Hindu, because you know nothing is going to be done about it, it doesn't say much about the so-called secular fabric of Bangladesh, which every political party seems to be claiming.
Absolutely, and with the elections, as you mentioned, also just a month away, of course, it really just does bring into question the nature of the elections in Bangladesh, which are expected in February. Also, we're going to continue to keep a track on this as well. With that, we're going to slip into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Stay tuned.
Now, trouble continues to mount over TVK chief Thalapathy Vijay as the probe into the Karur stampede intensifies. Vijay was grifted by the CBI for over 7 hours by the CBI. He is set to appear before the agency a second time after Pongal as scrutiny over the tragedy deepens. Meanwhile, CNN News 18 has accessed the details of the line of questioning, which is expected to focus on Vijay's delayed arrival at the venue and issues related to overcrowding and congestion. Now, sources indicate that if a charge sheet is filed, it will be in Tamil Nadu. From box office superstardom to the witness chair, the road to politics looks anything but easy for Thalapathy Vijay. But can he navigate the storm and still rise as a Jan Nayagan in Tamil Nadu politics? Let's listen in.
See, that question you have to ask Mr. Vijay, whether he is targeted or not. The question is whether a fair procedure is being followed or not. This is not fair procedure. And our leader, the Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has pointed out how, like the troika of CBI, ED and the Income Tax Department, CBFC is also been weaponized by the BJP to target political opponents.
Initially, state has ordered some investigation, correct? Suppose if Vijay is appearing in that case, shall we conclude that the state government is putting pressure on Vijay? It is completely an independent agency and this case has been transferred by the Supreme Court. When that is being so, it is natural process, legal process that any person who is involved in the incident has to be investigated. Okay, so now the DMK are imagining that whatever is happening, they are thinking that it is because of BJP.
Everyone is same in the eyes of law. So let Mr. Vijay finish the inquiry and we hope the truth will emerge whether Karur stampede is a planned conspiracy as alleged or there is something more to it. Everyone are anxiously waiting for the outcome. So we hope the outcome will be released soon.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
As tensions escalate in Iran, as President Masoud Pezeshkian joins a major rally in Tehran, marching alongside flag-waving citizens. Rights groups say over 600 protesters have been killed during a nationwide crackdown, with over 10,000 detained. Iran's foreign minister claims the protests turned violent and bloody to give the US an excuse to intervene and insists that the situation is now under total control. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has warned the US that the US is considering very strong options, including possible military action, while Iran has threatened retaliation if attacked. Fear and uncertainty also grip Kashmir as parents report losing contact with students in Iran, prompting calls for intervention by the India's Prime Minister and External Affairs Minister. Let's take a look.
I think President Trump is not hiding American involvement in the demonstration in Iran. Whether it is the American or the Israelis have openly saying that they are supporting and instigating the street of Tehran to go against the regime in Iran. So therefore, the American are also threatening, President Trump threatening to take a military action if the Iranian attack the demonstrators. However, the Americans still using the backdoor diplomacy when we could see that the Oman ambassadors of foreign affairs have visited Iran and have conveyed the American messages and also took with him the message from Iran that if the American thinking of attacking Iran, then the American interest in the region will be a legitimate target for the Iranian.
Do you reckon the United States will intervene in any form or fashion, either militarily or non-militarily, in what's going on in Iran? And do you think that the Ayatollah regime might fall? I mean, this was perhaps the biggest challenge they've seen in decades.
Yeah, look, I think the situation in Iran is very, very delicate at this point. I think the regime is at its weakest point since 1979, not just because of these demonstrations. They reflect enormous economic dissatisfaction, but the young people are dissatisfied, women are dissatisfied, the ethnic groups are dissatisfied. The regime is very weak and could fracture at the top. People said if the U.S. for years and years, if the U.S. attacked Iran's nuclear program, it would turn the Iranian people toward the regime. It would have the opposite effect of what we wanted. There'd be turmoil all over the Middle East. Well, we did attack the nuclear program along with Israel. The people did not turn to the regime because they knew what we were doing. There's not turmoil all over the Middle East as a result. So I think strikes against the Revolutionary Guard Corps and continue the attack on the nuclear and ballistic missile programs would help the opposition. I think we should do more to help the opposition. I think not just in the Middle East, but really worldwide. We'd all be in a safer place if the regime of the Ayatollahs were overthrown.
All right, Ambassador John Bolton, thank you very much for joining us here on News 18. Thank you very much for your time and perspective.
Now, CNN News 18's Siddhant Mishra speaks to Iranian protester Morticia Adams, whose videos have gone viral on social media. The clips show her burning photographs of the Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, to light cigarettes in a powerful act of defiance. Listen in.
In a big development, US President Donald Trump has warned that any country continuing commercial engagement with Iran will face direct economic consequences from Washington. Trump said that nations doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran would be hit with a 25% tariff on all trade with the United States, effective immediately. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned that the United States to stop what he called deceitful actions and its reliance on Welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. Massive political row in Tamil Nadu over Sakthi movie. Congress has demanded a ban on the movie over alleged distortion of history. So this is a major political controversy which has erupted in Tamil Nadu after the Tamil Nadu Youth Congress issued a strong condemnation against the upcoming film Sakthi 2026, accusing its makers of deliberately distorting history to malign the Indian National Congress. In a statement released on the 12th of January 2026, Arun Bhaskar, State Senior Vice President of the Tamil Nadu Youth Congress, demanded an immediate ban on the film, calling it a work of fabricated imagination aimed at spreading falsehoods against Congress leaders and the party's legacy. According to the Youth Congress, the film falsely claims that during 1965, the Congress government imposed Hindi-only post office forms across states, an allegation the organization says has no historical basis. The statement also strongly objected to scenes depicting actor Karthikeyan meeting former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, portraying her in what they're calling a villainous and fictional manner. The Youth Congress further alleged that the film fabricated an event showing Indira Gandhi visiting Coimbatore on the 12th of February 1965, along with scenes of a train being set on fire. Let's listen to this.
காங்கிரஸ் கட்சி எப்படி மக்கள் 2008-2009 இலங்கையில் இனப்படுகொலைக்கு பிறகு மேலேயே வராமல் துரத்துனாங்களோ, காங்கிரஸோடு யாரெல்லாம் கூட்டணி வைக்கின்றார்களோ 2026 சட்டமன்ற தேர்தலில் பராசக்தி படம் திமுகவினுடைய முரசொலியாக அவர்களை அதே வீழ்த்தும். அதனால தான் பேர் தீ பரவட்டம்னு அவங்களே வச்சுக்கிட்டாங்க. தீ வச்சிங்கன்னா முதல்ல வீட்டை தானே பிடிக்கும். வீட்டுக்குள்ளே தீ வச்சா முதல்ல சொந்த வீட்டை பிடிக்கும், கூரையை பிடிக்கும், அந்த வீட்டுக்காரங்களை சுடும். அதனால் இந்த பராசக்தி படம் முதல்ல திமுக என்கின்ற வீட்டை சுடட்டும்.
All right, so this is the massive political row in Tamil Nadu over Sakthi movie. Congress has demanded a ban on the movie over alleged distortion of history. A major political controversy erupted in Tamil Nadu after the Tamil Nadu Youth Congress issued a strong condemnation against the upcoming film, accusing its makers of deliberately distorting history to malign the Indian National Congress. In a statement released on the 12th of January, Arun Bhaskar, State Senior Vice President of the Tamil Nadu Youth Congress, demanded an immediate ban on the film, calling calling it a work of fabricated imagination aimed at spreading falsehoods against Congress leaders and the party's legacy. According to the Youth Congress, the film falsely claims that during 1965, the Congress government imposed Hindi-only post office forms across states. For more on this, we have Purnima live with us. Purnima, thank you so much for joining me. Massive political row that's broken out over the release of Parashakti. What can you tell us?
Well, the Congress Youth Congress has in fact attacked the makers of Parashakti because they feel that this is not history, and so there are certain portions that have maligned the image of the Congress, and therefore they demand that those scenes be removed, especially portraying Indira Gandhi in bad light. That hasn't gone down well with the Congress Youth Wing. We did speak to the Congress Youth Wing. They said that if these portions are not deleted, if the makers of Parashakti do not issue a public apology, then they will stage protests till those scenes are removed. They say that this is not history. This is not what history says. This is nothing but putting Congress in bad light when it's not true. That is not history, and it wasn't the way it was depicted in the movie. And that's something that the Youth Congress has condemned. They want the makers of Parashakti to issue a public apology in this regard.
Right. All right. So we'll continue to bring our viewers all the developments on this, but that's where things stand right now. A major political row over the release of Parashakti. We'll continue to bring you all developments on that as well. Now, let's shift our focus. A video of a Thar owner flouting traffic rules has gone viral, sparking outrage online. This clip shows the man driving on the wrong side, boasting that no one dared to stop him, crediting his Mahindra Thar for this reckless behavior. He proudly lists the so-called benefits of buying a Thar, most of which revolve around doing almost anything on the road without any consequences whatsoever. This man here appearing very happy to be flaunting that as well. Netizens slam his arrogance and entitlement, calling it zero civic sense. Some have even tagged Anand Mahindra, urging stricter control over Thar sales. Take a look at his arrogance behind the wheel. Take a look at this video.
भाई महिंद्रा थार लेने का सबसे बड़ा बेनिफिट ये है, देखो रॉन्ग साइड चलो, दूसरे वाले रोड पे अपना जाम था, यहाँ से रॉन्ग साइड चल रहे हैं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं, ना कोई डिपर मारेगा, ना कोई आपसे फालतू बोलेगा, ना कोई कुछ कहेगा। यकीन करो भाई, 20 लाख रुपए सिर्फ इस टोरबाजी के दे रखे हैं हमने कि हाँ ये ऐसी टोर है कि साला कोई कुछ नहीं बोलता, कोई कुछ नहीं करता। महिंद्रा थार में बैठ के ये वाली चीज आ जाती है आपके अंदर। ये देखो कंप्लीट हाईवे है, रॉन्ग साइड गाड़ी चल रही है, कोई मतलब नहीं किसी को कि कौन है, कहाँ से आ रहा है, कैसे आ रहा है, देखो।
For more on this, we have Anshul Singh live with us. Also, Anshul, there, of course, we've seen in the video brazen recklessness, complete abandon of what could be the consequences of such an act. What can you tell us?
Well, yes, this video has gone viral on social media where people are actually talking about how reckless this person is actually driving and how he's actually flaunting the manner in which he is breaking the rules on a national highway. Now, according to the video and what information we have picked up, that this video was shot actually on a highway in Haryana itself. The Haryana police has also taken cognizance of this viral video, and they are trying to find the exact location where this video was shot. So, who is this person? Where was this video shot? Is something that the Haryana police is looking out for. But definitely, the manner in which the SUV owners have been seen doing reckless stuff on the roads of the national capital, and specifically out here in North India, this is something that is a case of massive concern. This is not the only video that has come out over the last few weeks itself. Several such videos of reckless driving on national highways and on main roads have actually come to the fore. That has resulted in several accidents as well, people getting injured, people losing their lives. But yes, this entire menace that has been created by people who actually do not abide by the rules, who have zero road sense or traffic sense. This is definitely a cause of concern. And now, as this video has gone viral, the police has taken cognizance of this entire video, and they are trying to find out the exact person and the exact location where this video was shot.
All right. Also joining me right now, Anurag Kulshrestha, founder and president of Tracks. Thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast this morning. We've seen that video. There also appears all this putting so many lives in danger for maybe a viral moment?
Yes, him actually promotion of the violation of the traffic rules has become a fashion now. It's a trend. Actually, it's just a matter of a time saving on our roads. Everybody is doing the same thing on the roads, and unfortunately, it is promoted by our top leadership. This is a saving the time on road. This is a phrase which has been promoted number of times everywhere, and lack of the enforcement, because we are having very poor enforcement system. Our police personals, basically they are focusing on the regulation of the traffic. Whenever there is a jam, they are just open for that. Otherwise they are busy in the VIP duties, and rest traffic management, it's a nil. So because this is a social media also, people are getting the fame out of that, so they are promoting such activities, because there's no action against all these things. No means in 1% case only there's an action, otherwise in 99% case there's no action. So it's a matter of the law of probability. So everybody, because they're not having any fear in the mind about the laws and about the enforcement system also, so they all are doing like this nonsenses. Everywhere you will find the stunting on our roads. This is a type of stunting also, again, to get fame on the social media. So these activities are continued throughout India. But as per the law of probability, if people are having a fear to catch, then certainly they will stop this nonsenses. Otherwise, this will continue in our country.
Absolutely. Now here at CNN News 18, we've taken it upon ourselves to amplify this and to, of course, the goal here would be to right this wrong. Let's talk about the number of accidents. 25,242 average per day, 69 in 2023. That's the number of accidents average per day that we're looking at. That's in 2023, 69. Number of deaths due to such road accidents, 9,432. Average per day is 26. Again, these are all 2023 data that we have. So this is what we're truly looking at here. Should the bans be harsher? Do we need other measures in place as well? BNS section 281, up to 6 months in jail. That is a measure that's in place, up to a fine of up to 1,000 rupees on Motor Vehicles Act. Rupees 5 to 1,000 for first offence, rupees 5,000 in Delhi, up to rupees 2,000 for repeat offence, rupees 10,000 in Delhi. So these are some of the measures in place. But of course, at this point, looking at the kind of videos that we see almost on a daily basis, we have to ask ourselves, are these measures enough? What is it that perhaps we're not addressing at this point? And sir, let me come back to you. As you were saying that there is poor enforcement at this point. What would you say are some of the reasons for that? Is it lack of political will? Would you say it's lack of personnel? Is it lack of adequate security measures?
Yes, it's a lack of enforcement as well as the political will. As in our Motor Vehicle Act, amended Act, there's a provision if enforcement related agency, if they are violating the traffic rules, there will be a double fine on that. But because why there was such type of a provision in our MV Act? Because they are the enforcer. If they themselves are doing such acts, then it is the promotion of the basically such type of nonsenses. So number one, poor enforcement, and number two, the poor political will. As you know, our Supreme Court Road Safety Committee has been formed just because of just to find out the causes behind it, and just to have enforcement related activities much and much and much. But nothing is going on because political will. You can understand every day you will hear the phrase like घंटों का सफर मिनटों में 22 घंटे का सफर 10 घंटे में 5 घंटे का सफर 2 घंटे में. It means saving of the time. So it is the act like you are promoting such violation of traffic rules, as well as you are provoking the people to commit suicide or to commit murder also. So I think our enforcement as well as the policies must be changed, because such type of acts, these are the knowingly act which is done by the people. Why there is just a problem, just enforcement or the penalty of just 2,000, 5,000, 10,000? Why not the seizure of this thing, seizure of vehicle? and imprisonment also if it is harming the people,
Hmm.
because there must be the provision like other countries also. They are having the like laws, policies like this. If it is triggered because knowingly, then seizure of the vehicle, cancellation of the license permanently, and if it is getting harm, maybe it's triggered by the drink and driving also,
Hmm.
then vehicle seizure as well as the imprisonment must be there. And these, as per the law of the probability, these activity or the number of challans or number of activities must be increased a lot. Like if you are having a 1 lakhs vehicle on our roads, then at least 1,000 to 2,000 must be the seizures or the penalties for the system. Then only we will be having a fear in our mind and will be abide to follow the rules and
All
regulations.
right, all right.
Otherwise, never.
Anshul, let me come back to you also. Now, if we were just to look at the numbers, this is 2023 data that we have with us also. It's really time to right this wrong. We're looking at an average per day accidents of 25,000, over 25,000. The number of deaths, 69 average per day. Now, really here the situation, as Sir mentioned as well, there is perhaps a need for stricter, more stringent punishments.
Well, yes, even more than punishments, for what is the need of the hour at this point in time? The immediate relief that can be provided is through stricter implementation on the roads. The implementation that we are seeing, as was mentioned by Sir as well, that generally police officers are busy in regulating traffic instead of making sure that such reckless drivers who are on the roads of the national capital, who are on the roads on highways, they can be actually dealt with in the right way or the right manner. Eventually, definitely, this is the need of the hour as well, that there should be more stricter punishments. According to the BNS as well, now an FIR can also be registered if a person is found driving on the wrong side or is driving recklessly. But even that arrest is something that is very nominal. A person can easily get a bail out of the police station itself. There is no action that is deemed necessary that would be taken against the vehicle, or for example against the owner per se, permanently seizing his driving license. But such reckless people on the streets over here, specifically in North India, is definitely a big menace and a massive headache for the traffic enforcers over here. It remains to be seen if at all there will be any stricter implementation or any stricter laws that could be made in the near future, so that the lives of people who are traveling on the streets, that could actually stay safe, because such reckless people, such reckless behavior, posting and boasting about it on social media is something that has become very common and can be easily seen across the streets over here, across North India, specifically in states like Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Delhi, and in parts of Rajasthan as well.
Right, Anshul. Mr. Anurag, let me come to you. Of course, as we were talking about poor enforcement, there is, of course, a need for stricter implementation. Also, when we look at this particular video, there is probably, they have uploaded it and it's something that has been recorded. So there's clearly no fear of any sort of consequences either. Why do you think that is?
Yes, actually, we have already discussed, our police persons are busy in the regulations. And second thing, in a country like Pakistan, especially on highways, they are having the separate police, highway police. And interestingly, on our highway, there is no police has been formed till now, and there's no enforcement on in these expressways, highways. We are just depending upon the digital cameras and all, and we are recording them. And after maybe 3 days, 4 days, we are sending the challans to them, and that's it. And interestingly, why there's no fear of the law? Because 75% of our challans, they are unpaid in our India. Then numbers two, our political parties, sometimes we used to listen the government is going to give the relief to all these violators. He will waive off all the challans. And number three, our judiciary system. You must be having number of videos number here and there in social media कि there's a लोक अदालत लगने वाली है, आप आइए यहाँ पर चलान से मुक्ति पाइए. But this is a tradition in our country since like political parties, like the influencers, like our judiciary system, our political system, everybody is basically focusing on the violation of traffic rules ultimately. Because if you're not punishing them, it means simply that you are letting them free to do all these nonsenses, and ultimately we'll keep on trying or the crying in parliament. I am unable to stop accidents. I am unable to stop nonsenses. And this is a reality of our India. So, number one, political will. If they, like recently, I think just 3-4 days back, one is the minister from Australia. He has resigned because he has got 2 or 3 challenges. So he resigned from the parliament. So we must set some example at least. Political parties means they are having the authority to do anything on our roads. They can speeding, they can do the violation, they can do the wrong side movement, and everybody, they are free for everything. So first we have to start from the political parties. Like I'm giving you in the last show, I have given the example when Srimati Kiran Bedi has started one movement in Pondicherry about the helmet drive. And interestingly, entire cabinet was sitting on dharna in front of the Raj Bhavan to stop that drive. So this is the condition in our India. If some enforcer wants to do something, then the entire political system is opposing all these nonsenses because we are taking the challenge as a tax on our people. And we are afraid, the political system is afraid of that. Even in Gujarat also, there was entire campaign was run by one political party against no helmet. So that is our system. Where is the law? Where is the rules and regulations? Where is the implementation? How
All
the
right.
people will get a fear in the mind? So all these things we have to do a lot. First, political party, number one, politics. Number two, the enforcers. They have to understand their own power, how to handle this situation. Then judiciary system. They must come forward instead of waving off all the challans in the Lok Adalat and all. There must be a stricter punishment. If a violator is repeating the mistakes again and again and again, 2, 3, 4 times and 5 times, then there will be a vehicle seizure and must be the jail
All
term
right.
imprisonment also.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for joining us with your perspective and your insights on this also. Of course, we also questioned Union Minister Nitin Gadkari about our campaign. Listen into what he had to say.
I am joined by Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Sir, wrong side driving का आपकी मिनिस्ट्री ने क्या assessment निकाला है, क्यों होता है?
In every year in our country, we have 5 lakhs accidents and 1,80,000 deaths. In many accidents, the lane discipline is a problem. Even in the Western countries, there is a discipline for every vehicle, heavy vehicle, light vehicle, about lane discipline. Unfortunately, the Indian situation, our people they are actually violating the lane discipline, and that is one of the reasons for the accidents. So today, it is the time for the country, society, and even for the NGOs, university, all social organizations, we are taking help from them to educate the drivers that don't violate the rules related with the lane discipline. Already it is decided, and particularly in the access control express highway, it is very, very important. Otherwise, the result will be bad. It is to be more accident, more death. It is not good for the country. We have to save the life of the people. So my appeal to all the concerned stakeholders, please obey the rules and also take the preventive measures as far as the lane discipline is concerned.
Is the ministry planning anything specific against wrong side driving?
Yes, 100%. We have lot of now electronic system is there by which we can catch the image, and by that image we can easily identify that who is the driver, who is the car owner, who is violating the law. So after taking his photo or video, we can take action against him.
Thank you.
And also he had to pay the penalty for that.
All right, and with that, we're going to call it a wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin. News and updates will continue on the other side on CNN News 18. Stay tuned.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
In a big development, US President Donald Trump has warned that any country continuing commercial engagement with Iran will face direct economic consequences from Washington. Trump said the nations doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran would be hit with a 25% tariff on all trade with the United States, effective immediately. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned that the United States to stop what he called deceitful actions and its reliance on traitorous allies. And that's the latest that we're getting for you right now. For more on this, we have Zaka Jacob live with us. Thank you so much. Good morning. Now, of course, given all these latest developments, we've seen how Trump has repeatedly weaponized tariffs. When it comes to Iran, how do you assess this?
Well, clearly, he's been presented with a range of options, including military options possibly. And you heard Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, yesterday saying that airstrikes are one of the many, many options that Trump has. So he's now chosen to go with the economic option. This might not hurt Iran so much because Iran is already sort of completely buried under with the impact of the sanctions, the American sanctions, the European sanctions, and of course the United Nations has imposed sanctions on Iran for its nuclear weapons program. So this might not impact Iran as much as it would impact some of the other countries, India being one of them, Turkey, China, of course, which is the largest importer of Iranian oil, some Middle Eastern countries, which also import from Iran. So some of these countries could be affected. As far as India is concerned, this would be particularly pinching because remember, India is already facing the brunt of 50% tariffs, 25% for importing Russian oil, and now this additional 25%, if it's imposed, then that would take it up to 75%. But then, having said that, India does not import as much Iranian oil. In fact, it's very negligible, the amount of Iranian oil that India imports, particularly in the last few years after the American and European sanctions. But India has deep stakes in Iran. Remember, the Chabahar port is an India-backed port. There's also the North-South Transit Corridor project that India has been working on because Pakistan does not give it overland rights. As a result, for India to reach to the Central Asian republics like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, etc., India has to use the Iranian route, and that was part of the International North-South Transit Corridor project, which has been pending for a number of years now. So India has a lot of stake in what is going on in Iran, including, of course, these latest protests. India is watching very closely. The MEA put out a statement a couple of days ago saying that they're watching very carefully the developments in Iran. But once again, I think Trump, instead of choosing the military option, at least up until now, until this hour, instead of choosing the military option, he has decided to go with the economic option. One possible reason also being the fear that if he were to indulge in airstrikes like we saw back in June, when three of the major nuclear sites of Iran were hit, this could potentially this time around galvanize the regime, the Ayatollah regime. The people could sort of galvanize around that regime because an external actor like the United States has attacked it. So that's one of the factors that's stopping him from undertaking a military or authorizing a military strike against Iran as of now.
All right, Zaka, thank you so much for joining us with your insights on this. We'll, of course, continue to...
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
In a big development, US President Donald Trump has warned that any country continuing commercial engagement with Iran will face direct economic consequences from Washington. Trump said the nations doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran would be hit with a 25% tariff on all trade with the United States, effective immediately. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned that the United States to stop what he called deceitful actions and its reliance on traitorous allies. And that's the latest that we're getting for you right now. For more on this, we have Zaka Jacob live with us. Thank you so much. Good morning. Now, of course, given all these latest developments, we've seen how Trump has repeatedly weaponized tariffs. When it comes to Iran, how do you assess this?
Well, clearly, he's been presented with a range of options, including military options possibly. And you heard Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, yesterday saying that airstrikes are one of the many, many options that Trump has. So he's now chosen to go with the economic option. This might not hurt Iran so much because Iran is already sort of completely buried under with the impact of the sanctions, the American sanctions, the European sanctions, and of course the United Nations has imposed sanctions on Iran for its nuclear weapons program. So this might not impact Iran as much as it would impact some of the other countries, India being one of them, Turkey, China, of course, which is the largest importer of Iranian oil, some Middle Eastern countries, which also import from Iran. So some of these countries could be affected. As far as India is concerned, this would be particularly pinching because remember, India is already facing the brunt of 50% tariffs, 25% for importing Russian oil, and now this additional 25%, if it's imposed, then that would take it up to 75%. But then, having said that, India does not import as much Iranian oil. In fact, it's very negligible, the amount of Iranian oil that India imports, particularly in the last few years after the American and European sanctions. But India has deep stakes in Iran. Remember, the Chabahar port is an India-backed port. There's also the North-South Transit Corridor project that India has been working on because Pakistan does not give it overland rights. As a result, for India to reach to the Central Asian republics like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, etc., India has to use the Iranian.
Good morning and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into CNN News 18. I'm Kritsween Valia, and here are the top headlines we're tracking for you over the next 1 hour. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw attends critical minerals ministerial meet in US as India-US trade engagement continues with the next bilateral call scheduled for 13 Jan. Communist Party of China delegation meets BJP leaders in party headquarters. First engagement since the 2020 Galwan clash. Congress asks what secret agreement was made. Amid ongoing rift between DMK and Congress in the state, Congress demands ban on Parashakti movie over alleged distortion of history. TVK chief Vijay questioned by CBI for over 7 hours over the Karur stampede, denies party responsibility, blames Tamil Nadu police for law and order failure. Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy moots auto debit of vehicle owners' bank accounts for traffic fines. Proposal sparks big debate. And Yash's toxic lands in trouble. Karnataka Women's Commission seeks censor board action over obscene scenes, says it degrades women's dignity. In the meanwhile, a man brags about SUV's benefits while driving on the wrong side of the road. Video sparks massive outrage. Donald Trump threatens 25% tariffs on countries doing business with Iran. In the meanwhile, keeps military option open. After Trump declares himself acting president of Venezuela, Greenland stands up to Trump, says will not accept a US takeover under any circumstance and demands NATO intervention. Well, actor turned politician and TVK chief Vijay was questioned for nearly 7 hours by the CBI at its New Delhi headquarters yesterday in connection with the deadly Karur stampede, which claimed 41 lives. In a fresh twist to the probe, Vijay reportedly denied his party's role and stated that TVK functionaries were not responsible in any way, that the Tamil Nadu police was the one that failed at maintaining law and order. He also claimed that he left the venue to prevent further chaos. Vijay's team reportedly submitted video evidence to support the claim. In the meanwhile, The then ADGP and IG of Karur were also questioned by the CBI yesterday itself. So that's what's come in so far. A lot of political reactions have also kicked in ever since this news came about. But I do want to go across to Arunima, who joins us with more details. Arunima, you were tracking the CBI questioning of Vijay in the national capital at the CBI headquarters yesterday. Of course, a firm stance has been taken by the TVK chief. He's denied involvement, has solely pinned the blame onto the Tamil Nadu police, has alleged it was their failure that led to the law and order chaos that claimed 41 lives in Karur. Tell us a little bit about submissions made by Vijay, and also how there were others from Tamil Nadu police who were questioned. What transpired overall through those 7-8 hours?
So 6.5 hours of questioning. I mean, he got a break in between, a lunch break, but he was subjected to intensive questioning by the investigating team, where he was asked as to why did he decide to leave the venue midway. And we are told by sources that Vijay defended himself by saying that he was told by his team that if he stayed on further, the crowd control would become even more difficult, and that's why a decision was taken to cut down his speech and then move away from the venue. The other question that was put to him was, at what stage did he get to know that stampede-like situation was being created? Because on video you can see announcements being made about a child missing, and also announcements and the video that shows bottles being thrown towards the crowd. So Vijay said that, the mismanagement that has happened was squarely because of the district administration, because of the police, which could not control the crowd. And the two senior police officers, one was then an ADG rank officer, he's now a Director General of Police rank officer, the other was an IG rank. Both of them said that there were repeated warnings sent to Team Vijay over the walkie-talkie set and over, other technical devices. That crowd was getting restive, that Vijay should curtail his plan, not reach the venue since he was already 7 hours late, but none of them were paid heed to. Now, CBI has taken both these versions. Vijay is going to be questioned again. The IO is going through his statement and balancing that out or juxtaposing it with the other statements, and then they will question him again at a later date. They wanted to question him today, but he requested that it being Pongal day after an exemption be given, and CBI has acceded to that request.
Okay, Arunima, any pointed claims made by the TVK chief when he was asked by the CBI, or if at all he was asked by the CBI about the apparent delay in him turning up to the rally venue? Any conversations that took place around that concern?
Yes, so that was a question that was asked of Vijay as to why the delay. But the answer that came was that, he was at other programs and they kept getting delayed one by one, and it was not intentional. He was also asked whether he was aware about the sweltering heat and the crowd therefore getting restive by the time he reached. So once again, rather than take any responsibility on himself or on his party colleagues, he blamed the police. He, we are told by sources, said that it was the responsibility of the police to control the crowd, and crowd management was their responsibility since permissions were taken. So the onus is not on him, but on the district police.
Okay. Many thanks, Arunima, for joining us with those details. Shifting our focus to more breaking news that's coming in. Related news, we're also learning that actor Vijay is now en route to the Delhi airport. So TVK chief now en route Delhi airport. As Arunima was highlighting, he's going to be questioning, or he's going to be questioned by the CBI at a later day. Given festivities, he is going to now be summoned on another day where he will be appearing before the agency in the national capital, and the line of questioning will then continue. I do want to go across to Purnima Murli, who joins us with more details. En route, the Delhi airport, he's going to be back in Chennai. Purnima, what more do we know? What kind of strategies are being spoken of internally within the TVK? Clearly, Vijay has toed the line. He's spoken of this was completely a law and order situation that was witnessed because of the lack or the failure of the Tamil Nadu police. But over to you for the latest, especially of what's happening in the TVK camp.
Well, TVK on the record remains tight-lipped. They say the investigation is ongoing and Vijay will also be summoned at a later date. Preferably, they are looking at post-Pongal, which could be post the 18th of January, around 19-20th. He will be summoned again by the CBI. Right now, the team had said that because it's Pongal festival this entire week, Vijay said that he will appear again after the Pongal festival ends. Also, remember, Jananayagan is still facing legal hurdles, so that also is the priority of the makers of Jananayagan and Vijay, because that's being used as a launch pad for his political journey. So that legal case is also pending. Therefore, they've asked for time. But sources from TVK camp reiterate that yesterday Vijay had once again reiterated the TVK stance that it was not their responsibility. They did not. It was not because of them that the Karur stampede took place. They alleged conspiracy by the ruling government. They said the police failed to take precautionary measures to control the crowd. That's something that Vijay had also reiterated before the CBI when he was summoned yesterday, blaming the Tamil Nadu police for the Karur tragedy that killed 41 people.
Interestingly, Purnima, all this while, that's the one thing that TVK all in all has maintained, that the onus doesn't lie on TVK or its party chief Vijay, that he was only adhering to the law and order situation and acting accordingly, that the onus really lies on the Tamil Nadu police. They failed at maintaining law and order that day when 41 lives were lost. That all in all has been the stance taken by the TVK. That said, they have maintained every now and then that they're going to adhere to summons issued by the investigative agency. Possibly the next summons will happen post-Pongal festivities. But overall, the tables have turned on the DMK now, isn't it? DMK is now going to be questioned, or the Tamil Nadu police will have to come up with a detailed statement despite the questioning that has already taken place of two top cops. The CBI has questioned two of them already.
Absolutely. Yesterday, the ADGP Law and Order, Mr. Davidson, was also there at the CBI headquarters. He was also questioned. Earlier, in the end of December, both sides were questioned. The Karur District Administration and the TVK leaders who organized the Karur rally, including Adav Arjun, Bussi Anand, all of them were questioned. The Tamil Nadu police and the DMK and the Tamil Nadu government time and again point fingers at TVK, says Vijay arrived 7 hours late. People were standing and queuing up for at least 6-7 hours without water, without food, and accused Vijay as the reason why the Karur stampede took place, because people were waiting for him for hours and he came 7 hours late, and that's precisely why the stampede took place in the first place, is something that the DMK, the Tamil Nadu government and the Karur District Administration say. The other point that the Karur District Administration and the police officers from Karur say is that they realized that there's overcrowding, especially after 5 p.m. They had reportedly asked TVK leaders to stop the campaign vehicle ahead of the venue itself, considering the overcrowding, but they did not pay heed. That was also something that the district administration said from their behalf. We'll have to wait and see how the CBI now investigates this. They are looking at both angles, and only time will tell as to who is responsible for the Karur stampede. The CBI is investigating and hearing both sides.
All right, stay on with us, Purnima. I do want to go across to Mr. Narayan Tirupati, who joins us with his view. Good morning, Mr. Tirupati. Your thoughts? The TVK has very categorically reiterated its position when all along it has maintained that this was failure on part of the Tamil Nadu police to contain the situation on ground on that fateful day. Your thoughts of everything that's transpired so far? He was questioned for roughly 6.5 hours, will be called in again by the CBI, but he's called this once again a conspiracy by the DMK and a failure on part of the Tamil Nadu police.
See, the BJP had been very categorically, we have been saying right from the day one that the local administration failed in Karur, and also the police failed to maintain the law and order in spite of so many police people there. They were not able to control, and they let this happen. So that we have been saying the same thing. Mr. Vijay is also reiterating.
The one thing that the police keeps saying, and two police officials were also questioned by the CBI yesterday, Mr. Tirupati. The one thing they say is lack of adequate food, drinking water, toilet facilities. That's what really led to overcrowding, and that is how the situation turned unruly.
No. See, the permission to the meeting was given by the police. So the police should have definitely seen to it that the rush or the problem doesn't happen. This is basically because it was overcrowding. So the police, what was intelligence doing? That is what we have been saying. The police failed to predict what will happen. That is why so many departments are there. It is a complete failure of the local administration and the police. So they cannot blame it on the organizers or they cannot blame it on others. So Mr. Vijay had told that there is a conspiracy. That is why he is there with the CBI's summon. So let the CBI inquire. Let us see what happens.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tirupati, for joining in with your views. I do want to go across to Arunima on that note once again. Arunima, no sort of cross-questioning took place yesterday, right, when the TVK chief was questioned by the CBI. Is that the plan of the agency going forward when the next summons are issued? What more do we know?
No, not at this stage, because as of today, as of this moment, Vijay is still being treated as a witness. But what is happening is that all these statements that have been taken by CBI, they've taken Vijay's statement, they've taken district administration of Karur statement, they've taken statements of his party, general secretary and others who were in charge of organizing that particular, rally or that particular campaign. All their statements have been taken. Vijay's party colleagues have also given video evidence, we are told, to CBI. There is video in which they have alleged mismanagement by the local police to buttress their own claim. So now what the IO is doing is putting together everything, all the material that the team has, and looking for gaps. If there are gaps in the sequence of event, Vijay in the next round of questioning will be asked to clarify on those gaps. For example, him reaching 7 hours late, he's putting the onus on the police for the management of the crowd. But why was he delayed by so long? And was he not aware of the weather conditions of the heat, the sweltering heat really bothering the crowd? Then he was asked, and he apparently answered to, he was asked why did he cut short his speech and leave from there without trying to help the people. So his answer has been that he was advised that him staying longer would just perpetuate the stampede-like situation. But there is a different version coming in from the local police. So I think the IO's focus right now, and we have to understand what is CBI aiming at. CBI is trying to ascertain if this is a case of criminal negligence. If in the court of law, a case of criminal negligence will stand, if there are lapses which can be backed by evidence for which accountability can be fixed legally speaking. Other than that, if they do not find evidence, it will just be treated as an unfortunate incident when nobody can be blamed for what had happened. So currently, CBI is looking for evidence which it can produce in court to pin accountability on whoever is responsible, either Vijay or his party colleagues or the administration.
Collecting evidence is the first step that the CBI is going to be working on diligently. The other thing is, of course, the next summons that take place when TVK chief is called in next by the agency in the national capital. Arunima, Purnima, stay on with us. Let's play out more reactions that have come in so far. We'll come back to you in just a bit.
See, that question you have to ask Mr. Vijay, whether he is targeted or not. The question is whether a fair procedure is being followed or not. This is not fair procedure. And our leader, the Chief Minister, Mr. M.K. Stalin, has pointed out how, like the troika of CBI, ED and the Income Tax Department, CBFC is also been weaponized by the BJP to target political opponents.
Initially, state has ordered some investigation, correct? Suppose if Vijay is appearing that case, shall we conclude that the state government is putting pressure on Vijay? It is completely an independent agency. And this case has been transferred by the Supreme Court. When that is being so, it is natural process, legal process, that any person who is involved in the incident has to be investigated. Okay, so now the DMK are imagining that whatever is happening, they are thinking that it is because of BJP.
Everyone is same in the eyes of law. So let Mr. Vijay finish the inquiry, and we hope the truth will emerge whether Karur stampede is a planned conspiracy as alleged or there is something more to it. Everyone are anxiously waiting for the outcome. So we hope the outcome will be released soon.
Purnima into the conversation. Purnima, you've explained to us what the TVK maintains all in all, even before Vijay's questioning happened in the national capital. What about the DMK? The one thing that the TVK continues to say is that this is nothing but a DMK conspiracy to defame TVK ahead of elections in the state later this year. How are they responding to the latest round of allegations leveled by the TVK chief?
Well, DMK is also playing it safe. On the one hand, they say that Vijay should take responsibility for the Karur stampede. They say that it's because of his delay in arriving at the venue did the stampede take place, because people were waiting for hours and TVK did not organize it well. Basic amenities were not provided for the crowd, and because of the scorching heat, waiting for at least 6-7 hours, people started to faint, and that is how the tragedy unfolded. That's been the version of the DMK. On the other hand, DMK is also questioning the CBI summoning people to the national capital. Says the incident took place in Karur. The investigation must happen in Karur. Why make people travel to Delhi? Will they make the families of the Karur victims also travel to Delhi? This is illegal, is a word coming in from the DMK as far as the CBI summons are concerned, and they allege that it's the BJP's hand in this entire issue to sort of put pressure on the TVK to join hands with the BJP. That's been the allegation put forth by the DMK. While condemning the CBI summons, they also blame Vijay for the entire Karur stampede. The delay in Vijay's arrival is something that they continue to reiterate is the reason that led to the Karur stampede where 41 died.
Okay, many thanks Arunima for joining us with all those details. With that, we shift our focus to the other big story we're tracking. Now, this is a little bit of a political back and forth that we've witnessed, and it stems from a delegation meet that took place. A delegation from the Chinese Communist Party recently visited the BJP headquarters in New Delhi and met senior BJP leaders, and the Congress is now hit out at the BJP and has questioned the BJP over the meeting. The Congress has asked, what is this relationship called? Why did the BJP commit treason against the country? What secret agreement was being made between the BJP and China? This meet, remember, comes as both BJP and Congress earlier traded sharp accusations over ties with Beijing. It has been a bone of contention. The Bharatiya Janata Party on multiple occasions has questioned the Congress over the ties it has maintained in the past with China and the CPC. I do want to go across to CNN News 18's Pallavi Ghosh, who joins us with more details. Pallavi, interestingly, this also comes at a time that China has claimed the Sakshgam Valley area of Jammu and Kashmir. So that's another parallel issue that's brewing slowly and is turning into a big one. But tell us, what is the Congress asking the BJP right now, and what do we know of the Congress strategy going forward in attempting to corner the BJP over this meeting?
So two things over here. If you remember, the Congress party, particularly Rahul Gandhi, has always questioned the government's foreign policy vis-a-vis China, saying that on the Galwan issue, for example, the government has never ever come clean. The government has not been open about the fact that how many of the Indian side forces were actually injured or harmed because of the Galwan clashes. And despite the clarification coming in from the Defense Minister, Mr. Rajnath Singh himself, it hasn't cut any ice with the Congress. And they've used this to hit out at the Modi government for running a weak foreign policy and not being able to show the Lal Aankh, to quote the Congress party, to the Chinese. That's one point that they're raising. And when this clarification is coming in from the Chinese side, even more the Congress party, Christine, is going to be questioning why is it that the government seems to be opening up to China. Second, if you remember, there have been earlier pictures every time Rahul Gandhi has questioned the government over the Galwan issue. There have been pictures which have been released by the BJP showing Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi with the Chinese premier, the counterpart, meeting a delegation over there, and thereby questioning the nationalist credentials of the Gandhis as well. Today, the Congress is seizing that opportunity to throw the ball back into the court of the BJP and also asking the same question to the BJP, what about you? You attacked us, but look at these Chinese delegation who actually went to the BJP headquarters, hobnobbed with you. What is it that you're hiding? Why do you have these double standards?
Okay. I do want to bring in Anindya Banerjee into the conversation as well. Stay on with us, Pallavi. Anindya, what more details do we have about this interaction that took place in the national capital? It's a first such meeting after the Galwan clashes, and as Pallavi was also pointing out, the Congress party has every now and then questioned the government, has accused the government of not responding firmly to Beijing's aggression during the Galwan Valley clashes back in 2020. Do we have more details on what transpired here? How long did the meet go on for, etc.?
Well, of course, the fact of the matter is that the meeting took place under the name No BJP. It's not new. BJP has this program for over a few years now that they keep meeting foreign missions, foreign ambassadors, political parties of different countries to know each other and to open channels of communication with them to understand their way of functioning to better BJP and because they say that they are the largest political party of the world, but they are open to how they can better themselves. So they want to better themselves, and they also want to better their perception about them to the world. So, but the fact of the matter is, this time it is the CPC, and that's why all the hue and cry. But that being said, the optics matter between, and that's why, as Pallavi was saying rightly, that the question of double standard is being brought in by Congress, and we have seen that those photos of MOU that has been Kiran Rijiju has tweeted. I was just checking through the timeline of Kiran Rijiju that he questioned, and the same tone and tenor is being used by Congress leader Supriya Shrinet right now is being used while she posted it. You asked for rightly about what transpired in that meeting. In that meeting, books were being exchanged. There has been discussed about how to open a right channel of communication between the two parties and how to take this channel of communication forward from here on. That transpired, and that is all about it. That went on for more than an hour, and even as we speak, from 11 a.m. today, there will be another meeting between the Chinese Communist Party and the RSS in Keshavpur. So clearly, the attacks is going to mount from the Congress side.
Yes, so expect a political escalation on Congress's part when it comes to the meeting that's to take place next. Pallavi, Anindya, many thanks for joining us. We need to shift our attention to another story that we're tracking, and as we mentioned, at the heart of this also lies the JNK Sakthi Valley controversy. China, remember, provoking India once again, has claimed the Indian region as its own. India, though, has refuted these claims, says claims made by China illegal and invalid. China claimed that Sakthi Valley area of JNK is its own. It is building a road to Pakistan, remember, through the CPEC or the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which passes through this area, and India has raised strong objections to this, consistently taken this position. Let's listen into this big comment coming in from the Chinese side. Then we'll go across to our reporters for more.
首先，你提到的领土属于中国领土，中方在自己的领土上开展基础设施建设无可非议。中国和巴基斯坦已于上个世纪的60年代签署了边界协定，并且划定了两国的边界，这是中巴作为主权国家的权利。那么你提到中巴经济走廊，这是一个经济合作倡议，旨在促进当地的经济社会发展和改善民生。中巴边界协定和中巴经济走廊不影响中方在克什米尔问题上的立场，中方在这个问题上的立场没有变化。
Sakthi Valley is Indian territory. We have never recognized the so-called China-Pakistan boundary agreement that happened in 1963. We have consistently maintained that the agreement is illegal and invalid. We do not recognize the so-called China-Pakistan Economic Corridor either, which passes through Indian territory that is under forcible and illegal occupation of Pakistan. The entire Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral and inalienable part of India.
CNN News 18's Akanksha Swaroop joins us from the newsroom. Akanksha, good morning. This comes on the back of that meeting, the visuals that we're playing on our screens of BJP leaders holding this meeting in the national capital with a CPC delegation. And that's what's irked the Congress to an extent that it is taking potshots at the BJP over this meeting, asking what that meeting was all about. That said, tell us a little bit about the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson's comment and how MEA's categorically refuted that claim, says we have established that this is part of the Indian territory and no more discussion really needs to take place on this area.
Absolutely. And remember, Grithween, it's important to highlight that this meeting between the CCP delegation and the BJP members happens at a very critical time when China and India both believe that it's important that both countries continue to maintain sustained engagement, especially when it comes to the issue of LAC. There are still critical issues around the boundary which are clearly being resolved, in fact, and that is why both New Delhi and Beijing are of the opinion, as has already been highlighted by the Chinese ambassador to India, Ambassador Xu Feihong, that this engagement and especially the military level talks that have been taking place, the diplomatic level talks that have been taking place between New Delhi and Beijing, especially after Galwan, need to be maintained. But more importantly, it's happening at a time when India has clearly rejected Chinese claims as far as the Shaksgam Valley in Kashmir is concerned. This particular statement coming in from the Foreign Ministry in China is going to be taken very seriously in India, given that just 3 days ago, the MEA spokesperson, Mr. Randhir Jaiswal, has rejected any of these claims that this is Chinese territory. Why? Because India in itself